What's up, everybody? How is everybody doing?
Bloody good.
Bloody good. Why are we bloody? Just kidding. Totally kidding. Good to see you, Chris. Let me make my quick little rounds. He's got the Christmas red on today. He's
Bloody,
celebrating.
bloody red.
Bloody red. There Awesome. Chris, good to see you, man. I'm just letting everybody in. This is going to be a good call. I'm really, really excited. Courtney, hi. Good to see you. I knew you were going to be here because I made you. Just kidding. Dennis, cameras are encouraged to be on if possible. If not, it's all good. Just wanted to put that out there. Veronica, good to see you again. Ariston, the man of the hour. Everyone's highly anticipating this conversation, or I am. Maybe I'm speaking for everybody here. Adam, good to see you. Khalid, good to see you. Tamar, Yan, Naresh, Jay, Twitty, Nixon, good to see you guys. I see a lot of familiar faces here today, so I'm excited. You guys are taking me up on this conversation that's happening today. Can't wait. I'm super, super excited. I'm going to let people kind of roll in before we get started because I want to make sure everybody gets a dose of Ariston mindset today. Let's pick some brains. Chris, since you are the bloody man of the beginning of this call, let's talk to you. How are things going?
Very good, thank you. I signed up today. I've just been playing with the kittens and watched some Billions, so a good day.
Which level?
Elite.
Elite, awesome, congrats. You literally just enrolled today, or you had your onboarding today?
My onboarding's tomorrow at 9:30.
Wow, that's quick. Jeez, we're getting pretty good at this whole onboarding process, aren't we? Jeez.
Yeah, flying.
Congrats, man. Welcome aboard. This is, I'm assuming, your first group live call with us, right?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. You're starting it off on the right track because we're going to give you like onwards of 6-7 figure kind of mindset training. The rest of the calls are really great as well. Make sure you take advantage of those. There's replays available, so you'll be able to watch this again. No, welcome aboard though, Chris. Really happy to have you here, man. What's your background? Do you have an agency already, or are you just starting out?
I ran 2 agencies actually, end of 2017 to early 2019. Stopped doing that. Got 3 other businesses now, all in different niches. And I saw Tyler's ad and thought I'd come back to this space. It's something we were going into anyway. So I currently got a couple of coaching businesses, and we were going to go into some of the lead gen side of stuff for gyms because we teach PTs. And I saw this, and I just thought it sounded amazing. So I thought I'd hop on in and ride the Tyler Carducci train.
No, that's great. You're in a good place because we have a lot of support. Courtney is one of the coaches as well. She likes to join the live calls, always ready to learn. Same as myself, I'm one of the coaches as well. So we're happy to see you on board, man. Thanks for sharing. I'm going to jump into one other person and then we'll get started. All right, who's got something else? I'm going to pick some brains. Let's do, well, Veronica, since you have your camera on, let's talk to you for a second. How has your day been going?
Since our call, I actually actively have reached out to various opportunities to partner up fulfillment wise. I hope I can speak with someone today who actually would be located in Australia. And then also Ariston gave me a few goodies, and I'll have a call with Jan actually on the 31st of December. I just wanted to get in this year just to see whether I can set other opportunities up other than cans, just to have that portfolio of other people that I could hopefully bring into my ecosystem for fulfillment. And other than that, yeah, had my call with Courtney yesterday. The checklist, completed the WooFoo form as well, branded it as well, because I'm like a sucker for branding with my background. And yeah, just working now through the sales part of the course and wanting to attend all of the coaching calls as well as much as I can. So yeah, just trying to pave the way for 2022 and then launching. I spoke with Courtney, I'd like to start on the 10th of Jan, just launching the funnel because I'm also going to take a bit of time off.
Post holidays?
Yeah, exactly. I live in a very beautiful part. I've got the ocean right on the front step, but being locked down is a bit taxing. So everyone's just escaping now as far as they can. And I'll do that. I think it's important for your mindset as well, just to have a break and then come back, recharge.
Yeah, no, definitely having that fresh state of mind to really start attacking again does wonders. Seriously, even if it's like a day or two for me, I'm like, okay, good, get back into action. You know, that plays a huge role, as we're going to find out very soon, on how this man really gets his days going, even the days when he's like, I don't feel like doing anything.
Yeah,
So
I can't wait. I said I've spoken to him and I've picked his brain, and there were some really good nuggets in there. I'm just fascinated by his journey and how well he's doing, and wish that this success is just going to continue, and that Ariston, you get onto the 30 under 30 on the Forbes list. That's your goal, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's anybody see his posts? Well, that was beautifully written out, man. That was touching, seriously. So I'm really happy that you're here. So Veronica, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, we're here to coach you along the way, of course. So the more you go in through the process.
I'm back to being super excited. The bit of panic that I had is gone.
Good. Well, I'm glad. I feel like we had a great conversation. Anyway, I'm happy to hear that you're in better spirits today. So hopefully that momentum continues. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing, Veronica. Thank you. All right. So I don't want to wait any longer. I want to bring on the man of the freaking hour, the one that's really going to help shape your mind, get you out of your funk, help you really understand what it actually takes behind the scenes. You either love him or you hate him because he's doing so well. And I am so honored and so thankful to be bringing on Ariston Cortes to today's mindset call, because I had even just 15 minutes with the guy. I was like, dude, stop talking, save that for the mindset call, because you're giving away too much gold right now to me. Like, I need you to be this pumped, this energized on the call. So what do you think? You want to join? He's like, absolutely. Didn't even hesitate. He said, yes, it'd be an honor. So Ariston, the floor is yours, man. Talk to us about mindset. What does it actually take to get you to be able to wrap your head around the idea of even closing $4.2 freaking million this year? Congratulations, by the way. That's amazing,
Thank
dude.
you. I appreciate it. Thank you. No, dude, it's a pleasure talking to you and everybody here. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be able to do that. It's been a whirlwind of a year, to say the very least. So I'm very grateful for, this whole community that has backed me up since day one. Like, I've got I've got Courtney and Jane, who's always saying like the sweetest things, which I really appreciate. And so I'm so really, really thankful for everybody who has been a part of this whole journey with me. I'm very grateful for everybody in this call right now who has backed me up all the way through. So I appreciate everybody here.
Of course, that's not unique to your situation. That he just utilized the group. He shared his wins. He shared when we talked about last week. We shared when his pipeline was dry, was empty. Yeah. We talked about that last week. If you haven't had a chance to watch that replay yet, I recommend that you do, because he talks about that a little bit. I tried to get him not talk too much because I want him to share today for sure. But he's got a lot to share. So if you do have any questions for Ariston, feel free to pop that in the chat, and we'll get to that accordingly. So Ariston, walk me through, man. You were telling me that there was a lot of misconception behind what you do on the front end of things. Give me a little bit of perspective.
Every time I post a deal, a lot of people, they say congratulations, so proud of you and stuff like that, and which I'm very, very grateful. But I feel like every single time I do post it, I get a lot of people coming into me and asking, like, how do you close huge high ticket? Like, they're really easy, but at the back end of it, it takes a lot of loopholes that you have to jump through to be able to even close one deal. But I'm very transparent at it. Like, I tell people all the time, like, it usually doesn't even take two call closes. Sometimes it takes, I was telling Tyler this earlier, my longest closing call took me 7 calls to do. So it's not a pretty transition from discovery to close, and then that's when you sign the contract right away. For most of my posts, I even tell people this is exactly what happened with this particular prospect. They didn't close right away. So it's not always the pretty side of when you see, $4.2 million closed in a year. It's not always pretty. It takes a lot of time to be able to even be able to get to one close.
Yeah, very different. Very, very, I think, there's a big difference also. I want to kind of touch on what Courtney just asked me earlier, right? She was talking about the mindset behind, because in your posts, right, you were mentioning how you were here, now you're here, right? So if you had to touch on when you just first got started, the mindset between 0 to 50K to now, how would you really compare and contrast that? Like, what did that look like for you back then? Exactly a year ago, actually. That was a year. A lot's happened this year. Walk us through that.
So a year ago, I remember my post. I was asking people, like, can I see an example of your VSL for your funnel? Because I didn't even know how to do that. Seeing that transition from where I got myself today is just it's surreal to think about, to start off with. The mindset wise, anyways, it definitely showed me a lot. Like, looking back at it now, if I had I think my first deal coming into the DFY program came 5-6 months post joining the program. So it took a long time to be able to even land a deal while staying in the program. And looking back at it, if I had stopped, doing every single thing that I had been doing, like outreach and stuff, if I didn't wake up for a call, which I was really tired. Like I remember calls where I was really tired and I just wanted to stay in bed for them, right? So looking back at it, if I took the easy route of just like stopping it altogether before I even landed my first client, I think I would have like really like regretted that. So looking back at it now, like it was tough to start out, but it was all worth it. I can say that.
How many calls did that first deal take? Three calls. So discovery and then 2 additional.
Yeah.
That's not bad. If you're looking back at younger Ariston, which is literally like 6-7 months ago at this point, right? You've learned a lot, dude, from that time. What do you think was the biggest part that really helped you go from here to here?
Understanding that it wouldn't be easy work anyways. It's really hard. It's a daunting task to be able to keep yourself accountable for every single thing that you do as an entrepreneur, because nobody really can help you through it until you get to that point, right? It's sort of like a learn as you go process. No matter what course you take, no matter who mentors you, you can have Elon Musk as a mentor, but he won't even be able to tell you exactly what you're going to go through. So everyone's journey is going to be unique to it. The hardest part was literally keeping myself accountable of every single thing that I had to do. I remember my very first deal, even before joining the DFY program. I remember not wanting to wake up for it. I was just like super tired and I was super discouraged that it took 8 months to even be able to land a person. 8 months into doing that, you kind of just start to get tired and you start to get wary, because you start to tell yourself, what, maybe this isn't gonna work out. I mean, yeah, man, if I hadn't woken up for that call, like I would have never been able to gain any momentum at all. I would have never been here hopping on a call with you and getting to chat with all these like amazing people that I've met now. That 4.2 million would have never happened if I chose to sleep in that day.
Yeah, dude, and you mentioned something that was like, yeah, that's exactly what goes on to a lot of people, right? Is the whole mindset of like, oh, it's not going to happen. I don't, like the call, you're like, you weren't really particularly feeling optimistic about either.
I thought it wasn't going to close at all. Yeah,
right.
I was really dead that day too.
So you got lucky. You got really lucky, because if you would have like walked into the call literally believing like the entire time this person's not going to close, not going to close. If you walk into that conversation, do you do that now?
Yeah.
You still
I started not because like I want to put myself down, but I want to be realistic so I can actually mentally just prepare myself. If this doesn't close, I'm not going to be down about it. So it's helped me a lot with a lot of no's, because it did take a lot of no's to get to where I am right now. I'm pretty sure I've had more no's than yeses. It's still to this point. No,
totally, man. I think if it's one thing you had to really acquire was the thick skin and the understanding also. How old are you, Ariston, again?
20, turning 21 in February.
Dear Lord in heaven, Ariston, are you serious? No, that's awesome, man, because you acquired a skill set that you can literally use to sell, cat litter to dog owners. You know what I mean? Like not in a misleading kind of way. That's just because you understand like the process. You understand what needs to be said for them to really vibe with you, right? Because obviously there's trust that you've been able to translate into from call to call to land these bigger deals. If they knew that you're a year in business, that you're only about to be 21, they might not feel that, wow, you talk like you're an older, well more experienced than just a year. You do. No, you absolutely do. And I think that was because you didn't allow yourself to just sleep in and miss the call and really, avoid of the pain that comes with hearing no. Because that's how many no's do you get on average per month?
The thing though, I don't get a lot of no's, but I just because my pipeline is a lot drier than everybody else's. Like people think, I keep getting consistent leads every day. I made a post saying like my pipeline was dry for a whole week and I only had one call that whole week. I just made sure to do my best to close that call. But I honestly, I've had countless no's. I could say I put it in like the high thousand for countless no's.
But you're still feeling pretty optimistic for the calls, because you're capable of closing these deals regardless. The no's doesn't outweigh the benefits of getting those few yeses throughout the week.
Yeah. So you tend to just make sure that, even if this call doesn't go well, every time you tell yourself that, yeah, like I'm going to be down for this call, if they say no, that's just going to ruin your whole momentum for it. I know it sounds really cheesy and it sounds really lame to be able to say that. For a lot of it anyways, when you're being consistent in building up your success, you're building momentum without even noticing it. Every time you tell yourself that you're going to be down just because you didn't get the result that you wanted, it really just ends that. And that's a really dangerous position to put yourself in.
So I'm going to actually save a couple of the questions here. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys want to ask him a question directly. Dive into the mindset of Ariston, not just do Q&A at the entire time, right? So yeah, man, you definitely inspired me when we were talking on the phone a couple weeks back, and I was just really excited to hear you say like exactly what's behind the scenes. Like no one really sees what happens behind the scenes, behind the posts, behind the stuff. Like it's not every day is jolly land for Ariston. No, you still deal with the same stuff we do, just at a different scale. Does that tend to affect your day-to-day or at this point is it more like it's all good, I brush it off because I understand what's happening?
I've never been the one to react to things well. I've never just been one to react. Like every single, I don't remember one deal where I've genuinely like celebrated it, even if it landed, no matter how high ticket it was. And I think that part of me just has helped me so much grow so much faster. Just because if I celebrate a deal, it's great, but what happens then if I don't get that deal, then I'm gonna be feeling like 100% down. Not reacting to those in a way where everybody thinks like, I remember I got on a call with somebody and somebody thought when I land like a $50,000 deal, like I would go out and like to the bar right away and like buy everybody drinks. That's not the case. Like I stay at home and like I just, like I go on with my day and that's it. It's a bit more boring than what everybody else thinks. But in order for me to get to that deal, like a lot of people think that, like that's it. Like somebody comes into the pipeline and they're closed. I get about, in a month, I would tell you, I get about maybe on average 15 calls a month, which is nothing. And a lot of those calls, they don't end up closing. Maybe I'll close, 5 to 8 of those calls. It's not all pretty. I think people tend to assume just because they're high ticket, people tend to just, have the impression that it comes on really, really easy like that. It's not. I didn't used to close people like this. I'm grateful enough I can do it now, but it didn't start off like that.
What was the biggest piece necessarily that really allowed you to feel I got this? 15 calls, no big deal. I know that I'm capable of doing 8. What was the biggest piece that really allowed you for things to start clicking, for you to really start making those deals continuously? Because like every other like day, it seems like there's a post from Ariston saying you close this deal, you close that deal, which is phenomenal. Again, you either love it as a viewer and it inspires you, or you hate it because you're just, why not me, right? So what was the biggest connecting piece allowed you to really take shape into that?
I think it was when I stopped trying to match my budget expectations to people's expectations of this is what they can afford, so this is what I'm going to pitch them. And I didn't really, once that happened, I didn't really care. Like if I pitched you like a $50,000 deal, if your budget is at 10K, then I'm just going to say, we're probably not right for each other. So I stopped trying to match everybody else's expectations of me, which I do get a lot. I get on Zoom calls with people when I go on sales calls, and one of the biggest hurdles there was, how old are you, right? And I was doing this when I was like 18 or 19. So like saying that number and saying like, by the way, like I'm like, this is a 19-year-old kid, pitching you like $60,000 of a service. So it's a big hurdle to overcome. That's literally what my biggest thing was. If you weren't gonna be able to afford that, it's completely fine with me. Even I said that way before I even started to gain like, really good momentum. Like this was when like my first, maybe I had, I was doing like $5,000 in recurring monthly rev, which is like nothing. I know to some people it's a lot to start. But like looking back at it now, like I was saying no to people who could only afford, who had a $10,000 budget. Like I was saying no to people because I was pitching them 5x that.
That makes sense. You weren't like matching or lowering your standards to work with people that just because they said yes to a $10,000 budget, most would say, let's do it. Yes. Yeah. And then celebrate, then go out to the bar and celebrate with your friends. That's good, man. I think because you have that system kind of built in for yourself now where probably at this point, like the back of your hand, right? What your overhead costs are going to be for XYZ service, right? So what does that look like? How did you build that team? Please do. Yeah.
Are you asking like how I built my team or
how you built your team?
I used to go to a lot of, before this was like pre-COVID, I used to go to a lot of marketing events like locally, like near me, or I would go to like online ones because they were for free anyways, or they were like $20 a ticket. So I would go to a lot of those, and I would meet people who are in Facebook ads and Google ads or in SEO or in web dev. I would meet a lot of them, and we would connect and I would network with them. So that definitely helped build my team now to what it is, and it's become such a strong foundation that I can safely like reassure them that because they were looking for work too, but they didn't want to do any outreach to people just because it was really hard for them to do so. That was something that I was willing to do for them if they wanted to make it sort of like a team with me. So that was how like building out my own in-house team sort of worked. And this was when I was around like 18 years old.
If you weren't selling like services, you were selling yourself to
consistently, constantly.
Yeah. I think that's really important. It doesn't sound like you're shy, right? Or are you shy?
No.
So
No, I don't think I've ever been. Yeah.
right. Okay. I was gonna say, because that might be a little bit harder for someone to walk into a room filled with people with skills that you don't have. I did that once, a couple years back. I went to a Ty Lopez conference. Or, I know everyone's got their opinions about that topic. We won't get into that.
Yeah.
But that was filled with like higher level entrepreneurs, and me just starting off, I'm like looking at everyone in the room. I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I even doing here? I'm a music guy. I have a music background. That's it. I don't know this stuff. But I figured there's no reason why I can't talk to people and pick their brains and really get everything I could possibly get out of this. Same thing with you. Did you go into those conferences in the mindset of I'm going to learn as much as I can, or in the mindset of this is where my team lies, I'm going to find my team here?
I definitely didn't know that I was going to be building out my team, like doing those conferences. I was like 17, 18 years old. So I was always the youngest one to be put into those situations and those events. So it was very hard trying to navigate your way, because you're talking to people 3, 4 years, 5 years older than you, and you're trying to sell yourself to them. And it's a very hard task to do when what they have over you is, for one, age, and for another, experience. I had neither over the other. Trying to sell yourself, like, if you partner up or you network with me, it's going to be worth your while. I didn't have like, major case studies. Like I wasn't pulling in 7 figures a year, but these guys were. Some of them were pulling 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures a year, making sure that I at least like provided enough value in that, 2-minute conversation that I would have with them. Was gonna, not even like to be like giving them, giving their phone numbers to me, but just, making sure that that was worth their time was a really big deal to me.
Yeah. Were you nervous talking to any of those higher people?
I wasn't nervous. It was more like, I was just like more like, like I have nothing to lose anyways. Like literally, I'm the youngest one here. I have nothing to lose. If you say no to me, like nobody said yes yet anyway. So.
Right. No, that's the benefit, man. There's no reason not to just get out and talk and see what happens. With no specific outcome. Like I'm going to walk away a loser if I didn't get a team or I didn't get a piece of information that I really came to. But you spent $20 or it was free. Worst case scenario, you got some fresh air. So that's good, man. That's a really good point. That's something that we don't necessarily do a whole lot, especially with COVID going on, is going to like events and really getting off of the screens and shaking hands. Again, pre-COVID, where that's just frowned upon at this point. But so that's good. I'm really, really happy to hear that, because that's something that we don't stress enough. So that's a really good feedback, man. And fulfillment, just quick question, and we'll get into the questions that we have in the chat, right? But for fulfillment, do you do any of the fulfilling yourself, or do you pass that off to everybody?
I used to. So I used to start out as a copywriter before my agency, started offering other services. So copywriting was our sort of our building block. So I used to do a lot. I used to do all my copywriting. I still do. I still, try to get involved as much as I can. As of right now, anyways, maybe in the fulfillment side, I'm involved 20-30% of the times. So not a lot anymore.
Gotcha. So a lot of people have that. I don't want to call it ego. I don't want to call it entitlement necessarily. We'll just not label it a word, right? But I'm just thinking like the whole mindset of I'm making less than my contractors and my sales team. Like I might be getting 20% of this sale. Is that kind of where you're sitting? Has that ever affected you? Instant gratification kind of thing, where like I'm making 50% profit, or I'm not doing this?
No, I didn't think it was ever going to be worth sacrificing a lot of my time for 100% of the profit. It just makes no sense, because you can't scale like that. So when I started, this was when like, people were starting to get into like Facebook ads and stuff. So when I started getting clients that were interested in it, I knew I couldn't really do a lot of the work. So I think my turning point was like getting my 5th client. So I had 5 clients in my pipeline that were really consistent. I just decided like I couldn't do that anymore, because I was sort of thinking long term. I was so sure, take it as like I sound like a dickhead, but like I was so sure that like I was going to get way more than 5 clients down the line anyways. So I made sure like I had a team ready to handle that. So I was very confident. You can call it overconfidence or cockiness too. I was very confident in the fact that I was going to get more than just 5 clients.
You can label that determination, man, really. Because like if you're setting yourself up for 100% of the fulfillment just for the sake of taking or keeping all the money, like you said, it's not scalable. You're not going to be happy doing that, working 50, 60 hours a week, fulfilling 3 clients. God forbid you get a 4th client that's needy. That's it. Now you're in a mental institution because you're losing your mind. No, but that's really good. You're setting yourself up for the grand scheme of things, which is really important. So thanks for sharing that, man. I really, really appreciate that. Are you cool to take a couple questions here?
Yeah, I think like they're probably like tired of like me talking right now, so
Uh,
I'll take
dude,
the questions.
Let's everyone shake their head no, because we're not tired of you talking, because we're getting a lot of value from here, man. All right, well, let's start with Tamar. Tamar, you got a question for Ariston.
Hey, what's going on, man? I was gonna ask a question. I think I know the answer to. I'll ask anyway. Do you get nervous before calls? Probably not, but I'm curious.
No, I don't remember even on my first call getting nervous. I think because of the fact that I expect the call to go the other way. That's why. So I just set myself up to be like, if they say no, then it's whatever. It's to me. I know it's a sucky mindset to be at, and it sounds counterintuitive, but it's definitely what's worked for me. So I don't think I've ever felt nervous.
So can you recap? So you basically just have low expectations for the call to not go. Okay.
I expect them to say no. Yeah, it's a shitty mindset. Like, it sounds so shitty to say, but I'm
But it
telling you right
works.
now, like, it's what's helped me. Because if I expected every call to go my way and they went the other way, I would have been down so bad. I would have felt so discouraged the whole way through, and all that momentum I've built, like, literally just would have dissipated. Courtney says it takes the pressure off 100%. It takes so much pressure off my shoulders. No butterflies there. So you kind of just go into it and, like, you deliver your call, and it's just,
If you just recall from what he mentioned earlier as well, it's like not everyone's journey is going to be unique. Not everyone's experience is going to be unique. We don't all work the same. We don't operate at the same level either. What works for Ariston may not work for you guys. He tried a lot of different things, probably encountered a lot of different no's to acquire the fact that, like, you know what? I am cool if this call doesn't go my way. That's okay. But if it does, even better. My friends are still not getting a drink, we established. So no, I'm just kidding.
no one's getting a drink anymore. No one's going out.
Either way, that's funny.
So between, do either of you have some sort of a pre-call routine you go through, or do you just like take the calls willy-nilly and just go through them?
I'll let Sam answer his first, though.
No. To be honest, I don't do a whole lot of sales calls. I had one earlier today that closed, but it wasn't really a thing where I'm like, I'm excited. This is gonna be really great. Hell yeah! Can't wait to text about it. It was like very indifferent. I told Eileen, my fiance that's sitting next to me right now, listening to the call. But I told her, and she's like, "Yeah, congratulations, we gotta celebrate," kind of thing. I'm like, "No, do we? It's not that big. Okay, that's fine." She just wants to have dinner. She likes to have dinner. She's an outdoor kind of person, and I enjoy it. But yeah, I'm kind of indifferent. I don't take a whole lot of sales calls, but when I do, I don't have expectations either, to be honest. I don't go in like there's a difference between not having expectations, expecting it to go the opposite way, and going in with a shitty mentality. That's like, oh, we're not going to close anyway. That's not what he's saying. Just for clarification there. He's not saying they're not going to close anyway. He just is okay if it doesn't. Go ahead, Ariston.
I had a call with Adam, really cool guy. I think he asked me the same question along the lines when I had a call with him. And I said my pre-call routine was literally to take 3 shots of bourbon. I don't know why. Rachel saw my story on Instagram, and it was coffee with bourbon too. So I don't know why. I'm super into it. I don't get drunk on my calls. Don't know why. I don't take calls without it for some reason. I'm not an alcoholic.
So you're buying yourself drinks and you're withholding your friend. That's why.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't close the call. I did. So I deserve the drink. They don't.
So I was so excited to talk to you today, but I was like, you know what? If Ariston wants to use this for content, I'm not gonna taint the whole content with a beer in my hand. So
it's okay, man. I would drink with you too.
Well, you know what? Let's go on a Zoom date sometime. We'll have a shot together.
I'm so down. You should bring me to one of your baby classes.
Oh, they're over, man. That's it. I'm done.
Never mind. There's no point in this call continuing then.
The romance is real, man.
The romance is real.
Yeah, but no. To answer your question, that's my routine. I know some people meditate, some people like to read a good quote. Mine's a little bit more unorthodox, but that's me. That's literally as real as I can get.
So seriously, 3 shots of bourbon?
Yeah, I don't know why, man. One just doesn't do it.
But that's per call. So if he has 3 calls, he's totally trashed by the end of that 3rd call.
No, I'm still good. I'll take another call.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks for the question, Tamar. I appreciate you. Naresh, you have a question. Go ahead.
In the very beginning, Ariston, you mentioned that some of the calls, it's not going to close within 2 to 3 calls, and some of the things might go 7 calls. Can you provide some insights about what kind of things from the prospect side or from your side, what kind of information will be discussed, and what are the objections and how you are handling that one? So because obviously we thought following up with a client for 2 to 3 times, and if they are not responding, we will stop proceeding further. But having a 7 follow-ups and having the 7 calls and closing the deal is a good way of pushing ourselves to close the deal. So if you can provide that, that would be awesome.
Because it is true that not every call is going to close in that 1 to 2 call close. In terms of follow-up, if you've already hopped on a call with them and you've tried to reschedule so many times, I think the best approach to it, if they're not answering, the first 5 times, is just to stop. Like, you know, when you tell them something that, by the way, you know, we've been here over and over again, it's probably not going to be a good fit for us because, you know, I have other clients that we want to prioritize too. And, you know, I feel like if I keep reaching out to you at this pace right now, we're back to square one. It's not going to be a good relationship between you and I to be working together. And a lot of times that gets a response of saying, no, like, I'm serious about this. Let's go. Sorry, I was just busy. So it's making sure there's urgency within your follow-up. A lot of people follow up and just to say, you know, hi, how are you? Are we still up for this? There's no urgency in that. You're giving them an option to take you into saying an offer of, you know, yes, I'll go on the call with you, or no, but there's an option there, but there's no urgency within it. So I think that's what a lot of people tend to undermine, is that a follow-up is just saying, you know, are we still good to call today? You're looking for confirmation without urgency there. So that's why a lot of people, they don't feel like they actually have to answer right away.
Got it. Yeah. And no, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. One follow-up question which I have is, during the calls, do you discuss about, like, you know, what your team is going to do for the services which you are providing, or like, you know, do you provide the strategy in terms of, like, you know, what you're going to do, or just, like, you know, providing what kind of information you provided to the prospects
after the discovery call?
Yeah, after the discovery call.
Yeah, so you would want to provide them, not get too technical, but just, you know, making sure that they feel comfortable enough into what your team's actually going to be doing on the back end. So if you need, you know, access to their Facebook business manager for ads, you would tell them this is what you can expect after this call during our onboarding, right after that invoice has been paid. You want to be able to guide them through the whole thing because they are trusting you with, you know, X amount of money that they've now paid you. Guiding them through that and being a part of their journey is going to be a really crucial step if you want that client to stay long. And a lot of people, they just sort of negate that into once the contract has been signed, once the invoice has been paid, then communication stops there. So that's a very key factor that you have to really be careful about, because you're going to be putting yourself in a very, very dangerous situation in your business if communication stops right off the bat, right after that invoice has been paid. Because now they're going to think that, oh, like, this guy's probably like stole my fucking money, right? So yeah, go through with them exactly what they can expect. It's much better to make sure that they have a list of expectations that they can go back to and saying, like, by the way, like, here we're on, you know, 0.5 already of what we talked about.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Naresh. I appreciate it. So let me go into Courtney's question, then we'll go into Rachel, and then we'll go into Veronica. Okay. So Courtney, go ahead.
Hi. First of all, I just want to say I'm really freaking proud of you. And I think you're awesome. Yeah.
I think you're awesome.
Well, thanks. It always makes me really happy to see your wins and stuff. And also I use you as kind of a point of reference all the time, just because, first of all, you do a lot of, you know, you don't do paid ads, you do a lot of organic outreach. And a lot of people, when they are struggling, you know, you talked about how you didn't get a client for, you know, several months. And a lot of people, when they're in that position, they think, oh no, I can't afford to keep my paid ads going. This is over, right? And then I'm always like, well, look at Ariston. He doesn't run, you know, not always, but sometimes. I kind of want to learn a little bit more about what kept you going at that point when you had been trying for so long without seeing results, you know, because obviously you're just a driven person, but did you have a certain goal in mind? Either make this happen or it never happens, or
you know? I love that question. Yeah, so beforehand, like, I was starting my agency when I was in high school. So like I think I had maybe, you know, 1 or 2 more years prior to, and I had to pick a program already to join. Like, it was either like go to school or like do something else. So I had like that sense of urgency that I had to choose right away. So I had no choice but to make this work. So that was pretty much it. I knew my goal was like, you know what, I don't want to work for anybody else. Like, I want to be rich. That was like my first thing. And as I said, I think as a 17-year-old or as an 18-year-old, like, it's very understandable.
I feel like a lot of people have that.
That was sort of my priority.
Yeah, I think we get that at some point. Either we've worked for someone long enough to say, I hate my life, and then you start working for yourself, or you just naturally fall into the category of Ariston, where I'm going to work for myself. Like,
I was telling Tyler, like, before I started working on my agency, I tried holding down like 4 or 5 jobs. I could not keep one down for a whole year. So it was either I worked for that job long enough to get fired, or like I quit right before they fired me.
And what does your mom think about you now?
Oh, she's not saying anything anymore.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like, what do you think?
My parents have been like super supportive though. So I've been like lucky enough. But yeah, I've been like, I don't want to say fired. I know I was gonna get fired if I didn't quit. I know it. Like, I used to work at McDonald's at one point. I hated the job, but like I'm gonna incriminate myself for saying this. I literally like stole chicken nuggets like right out the freezer. I brought it home. I got caught doing that. So I was gonna get fired regardless. So I just quit like 2 weeks before. I used to work for Amazon, hated it. I don't care how good the pay was, I hated it. Looking back at it, like those were like the turning points of saying, you know, I can't even hold down a job right now. So there's no point in me like looking for another one long term just for me to, end up quitting it in like 6 months. I didn't really have a choice. Like I really didn't. Like it was either that or making sure that like I did this the right way.
Read the chat, read the comment there.
I just saw it. That was so
Never
cool.
failed. That would be something. Where's Depeche? Where's Depeche when you need? I feel like he would be, or even James Woods, both of them, the class clowns, man. But no, Courtney's taking over that too. So was that helpful, Courtney? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, that was very helpful. Thank you very much.
That was a really good question. So Rachel, go ahead. Thank you for being patient.
Yeah, no worries. You said that you started your agency in high school. I just wanted to know, were you working part-time? And then you started working for people and then you went back to agency? Because I'm like, okay, I did this too. How much of that time was like part-time work? And then how much of it was like full-time, where you were fully committed doing the agency stuff?
Yeah, I was working part-time. Like I was doing my agency stuff during school as well. I never really paid attention to class. I'm not ashamed to say it. I hated school. I would work on my agency part-time. I would be sending out emails during like class or lunchtime. I didn't even care if I got in trouble from the teacher. So after school, then I would go to my job and I don't think there was ever a time during school or in my part-time job where I had my breaks where I wasn't like sending out emails to at least, or DMs to like at least like 10 or 20 e-commerce brands just to make sure like my lead flow was coming in. So I found a way to make it work. I think the very thing that made it work was just because I wasn't committed to school or to work. I was committed to actually like making my agency work. So that was the very thing that sort of like pushed me to have all of this pan out the way it did. I know a lot of people would have like better stories of like, oh, like I got into like honors programs and stuff like that. And because I was like really committed to like doing homework, and after homework, I would do my business stuff. I didn't do like shit for homework. I hated school. It just never, it was like, I could not see myself like literally continuing it 100% of the time. I was trying to work on my agency. So it was very easy for me. Like I don't have a better story than that.
No, that's awesome. That's smart.
Yeah.
No, I just kind of look back. I always tell people, because I was like, I graduated high school with 48 college credits. I tell people I regretted it because I wasn't living for my dream. Yeah, but doing what you want, like trying to get rich and like doing your agency, that's awesome. That's a cooler story than me being like a try hard and dropping out of college. Like,
I think you have a much cooler story than mine. Mine was more like, I was pretty lazy. I just didn't want to do anything else. So it was pretty easy to like navigate. Like if people think just because I was in high school, like I had to like balance out homework. Like I didn't do homework. I recently went back to like my old high school. I said like thank you to like some of my I said thank you to my business teacher. I took a business class in high school that didn't teach me shit. I said hi to her, and then she literally asked me like, oh, like how's life doing? Like, like is everything going well with school? I'm like, I'm not even in school. Yeah.
All the teachers show up with a shotgun. Ariston's on the campus, guys. They lock the doors.
Yeah, I didn't go to school. Like, I'm like, I didn't even go to school. Yeah, she hated me in her business class. I loved it because like, yeah, I was like, it was like free for all for me. Like I would be on my laptop. She hated it. Like I would get in trouble so many times.
I get it, man. Everyone's opinion on the educational stuff is like, obviously they're entitled to that or whatever they want to believe in. It's just, this is a unique journey. It would be nice if we all knew what we wanted to do at an early age. We wouldn't have wasted time going to college. We wouldn't have wasted time doing other things. Yeah. So you followed the path that made the most sense to you, that you actually enjoy doing. So that makes sense. Not
school
to say,
just wasn't it.
And I have to, unfortunately, I have to agree with you. I say unfortunately because I know there's a lot of contradictory thoughts.
But here's the thing, though: school is fine. Like education is fine. Learning is fine. I want to learn every single day. Having somebody force something on what you should learn is the problem. A lot of it isn't practical. You go to school, you go to math class, they teach you about, by the way, Johnny bought 26 watermelons from Walmart, and like I don't need that in life. So like that's something that's completely different. So education is fine, learning is fine. Having somebody force that on you is the problem, because now it seems like it's work. We learn every single day. We hop on these calls, we learn more and more things about each other and about how we grow our businesses. I learn a crap ton from all of you guys, right? But it's not forced on me. Like nobody's telling me you have to do this to be able to get to that point. I tell myself that, I want to learn.
Thanks for sharing that. So I want to get into Veronica's question.
Hi, Ariston. Thanks again for your time the other day. So my question goes back to you saying that in the beginning you went to conferences, networking events to find your team. How did you vet those people that know their stuff and add value to whoever client you onboard into your agency without you necessarily knowing a lot about that service, having that subject matter expertise? So in the course, Tyler explains a bit around how you can vet people for Facebook ads, but let's say SEO, other digital services that you would want to offer? How did you build your rockstar team?
Because for me, I didn't know anything about it. So I was coming into it, blank slate. And so I was just really open to knowing more about exactly what those things are. Not necessarily building my team of contractors. That didn't happen like right off the bat after that conference. If I wanted to offer, for example, SEO, like you said, if I was going to be talking to somebody about SEO, I want to make sure that they're talking me through what SEO is and how it actually can impact somebody's business. And so that was my whole mentality to it, because I didn't know like what was good SEO or what was bad SEO. I knew what it was at its simplest form, but in reality, I had nothing to lose because I didn't really know anything about it. So going into it, I was pretty much just a blank slate. So I didn't really worry about, whether you had case studies or not, because if you showed me a case study about like, this is what I did for this client with SEO, I don't know what good is anyways. So vetting them came the more and more people who I connected with in this industry, letting them, teach me more about exactly what they do, what they specialize in. And that's when I sort of figured out like what good SEO was, what good Facebook ads were, what good copy was. So it came down the line. It didn't just happen. On those conferences, my whole idea was to network with people, not to make them a part of my team. So making them a part of my team down the line came with the experience that I gained from networking with them.
Great question. Who's actually run their contractors funnel to find contractors? Because it'd be the same process. Even if you don't understand what a good result looks like, right? They're going to be able to show you these things. So honestly, as awesome as case studies are, that's fantastic. That's great. But it did not for a second. There's proof right here. What Ariston was talking about. There's proof that does not make or break a sale. Just having case studies. I
didn't have any like case studies at all. I still don't. I think 90% of my calls, I would say safely 90%. I have never like been to told somebody, by the way, like, did you want to like take a look at some case studies? Until they ask. So unless they ask you, like you don't really have to put that out. A case study does not mean that you're going to land that call anyway. A case study is basically saying, here is what you can compare from my results to somebody else's. So now you're being put as another option again. And that's what a lot of people do, is because they tend to, rely on the fact that, I'm pulling in, $1 million a month for this client. That means this client will probably sign with me. It's not usually the case. You're just going to get put on their agency list, and they're going to keep shopping for more agencies. There's going to be an agency that's going to have way better case studies than you. If you're just going to keep competing off case studies alone, you're already like left in the dark.
Big point. Don't let it stop you. I talked about this plenty of times before, but even as far as the little things like websites, I still to this day still don't have a website. I'm still doing my thing. Why? Because anybody could put up some website and put some copy on it, and it's not going to make or break the sale. What's going to make or break the sale is Ariston working for your team or not. No, I'm just kidding. Is having the confidence to be able to really understand what you're doing on the calls. That's what matters. There's three things that matters really in a business. The three things that really categorize it is really just leads, sales, fulfillment. How do you get leads? Don't be afraid to be creative. Try to get leads. If you have to skip class that day and outreach 20,000 people, that's Ariston's method. Go that route. Get good at sales, figure out how the sales conversation needs to go, and then find a good team to fill that. That's it. That's what makes it go round and round. Don't worry about the little buttons on Facebook. Don't worry about the little website tricks and countdown timers and all this other crap. It doesn't matter. It comes down to those three things. Don't let it be super complicated. You can add things as you go. You could try things as you go, and then keep moving.
100%. Biggest thing that people tend to overlook when it comes to success, take success however you want to take it, is that people tend to focus so much on doing 100 things at one time when they're just starting out. When people say, all I have to do to be successful is work hard and stay consistent, they mistake consistency for intensity. It's like going to the gym. I'll use this analogy all the time when I talk about consistency versus intensity. When you go to the gym, you don't get fit from going to the gym for 9 hours in one day. What happens in that 9 hours is that you get burnt out. So you don't get fit by going to the gym for 9 hours, right? You get fit by going to the gym every day for an hour. That's how you build momentum. That's how you stay consistent. You can't be consistent burning yourself out every single day. So when you're trying to multitask all of these 100 different things in one sitting, that's what gets you burnt out. That's what loses momentum. So our focus needs to be on consistency rather than intensity, because when you prioritize intensity over that, you get burnt out and then you lose every single momentum that you have. We build momentum every single day when we're doing the tiny, boring things that we think aren't working. we think they aren't working because we don't see results right away. And that's the thing with success, is that there's really like no metric for it. We think of, revenue, there's a metric for it. Let me pour X amount of dollars into my ads and I'll see results happening the next day. They can be good results or bad results, but you'll see something happen. When you're scaling to whatever success that you're trying to find, there's no metric on it that you can pull a lever on and something will happen right away. You find, the results come after a set period of time. I can't tell you exactly when, but it's the same thing as working out. If I give you a program to lose, 10 pounds in a month, you follow that program in a month and you would probably do, 5 days, an hour each day. Of all those days in the first week, you're probably going to go home not seeing anything. That doesn't mean that like for one day, you should be working out for 10 hours straight, because now you can't work out the next day. It's the same thing when we're dealing with our agency. You don't go and start working on it like for literally 12 hours straight and burn yourself out, because that means you don't want to go back to work the next day. Or you can take it as it is, and you can be consistent in all the little mundane, boring things. Do it for 2 hours, so at least the next day you won't be burnt out and you'll actually show up the next day. So it ruins momentum. So that's why, and people think intensity is the same thing as consistency. Instant success and instant gratification is such a temptation, and we want to have results as fast as possible. And we think to be able to get those results as quick as possible, we need to be, putting in 10x of the work when we don't even know how to do it properly yet. And that's how we burn ourselves out. That's how we stop momentum from happening.
That's a real, like as Courtney mentioned here, it's a painfully real thing. I think that I experienced a little bit of that this past weekend, because my intensity, as funny enough that you say that, my intensity at the gym, for lack of a better way of putting it, really, excuse my language, really fucked me up. I get so excited. It's like my gym. Like I actually had like 3 hours where I didn't have to like rush. So I did everything because it was fun, but it wasn't because I was like just trying to be slim and whatever. I was just having fun. Here's what I want to do, because this was like seriously just made a lot of sense. And I hope it made a lot of sense to you guys as well. What we're going to do is we're going to take a picture of this. We've done this before in the past where we literally have overloaded Tyler's Instagram. I want to do the same thing to show my appreciation to Ariston. We're going to blow up his Instagram. So I want you guys to take a picture of this, and we're going to tag Ariston in a story. It's story time. Take a picture. My arms are getting tired. Ariston, drop your Instagram in the chat here. I'm extremely thankful that you're here, man. Really. I have one final question to wrap up today's call.
Go for it.
What kind of bourbon?
Wild turkey, baby.
Wild turkey is good. Yeah, wild turkey is good.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, it's cheap. So
don't act like you can't afford the good stuff, man.
I'm pretty cheap. That's why I choose not to do Facebook ads.
It's not cheap. It's economical and smart budgeting.
It's cost effective.
Not cheap.
There we go.
Economically, I'm just kidding.
Why am I going to spend a whole bottle, like a $2,000 bottle, when I can get one for like 30 bucks?
Wild turkey's good. Buffalo Trace. So it's brought to you by Wild Turkey, Bourbon, Ariston, and this IPA. So I want to thank you so much, dude, for being here. Really, this was. Anybody get some value out here? Give me just overload the chat with twos. The number 2, if you got some value out of this.
No, I appreciate everybody here. Like I owe a ton of people in this community, like a crap ton of gratitude for like the whole journey that I've been on. I think being in this community has really like 10x my business. More like the pace that I'm on was more than what I expected to get out of it this year. So I mean, a lot of you played a big part of that. You, Tyler, Courtney, Jane have always been like right there, like from the very beginning. I think it was a lot of you guys that gave me a lot of opportunities for this year to be able to grow exponentially. So without you guys, I would have never been able to be at this point right now. So I appreciate every single one of you.
We appreciate you, really, to constantly showing up. That's half the battle, is just constantly showing up, learning new things, showing up, improving what you've already done, getting better and better and better. Now you're in the place that you are. So we're really grateful, man. Thank you for being here today and sharing all the wisdom and your perspective. It really means a lot. I learned a lot from you, and I can clearly see that you guys did as well. Yeah, we appreciate you, brother. Any last little parting words of wisdom? We'll wrap it up.
Do the right things at the beginning so that you don't ever lose sleep as to how it went wrong.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to have the last call of the year. And we're going to really talk about the mindset behind really starting the new year right. So I'm excited to do this again with you guys next Wednesday. Hopefully you guys will show up and we'll close the year off on the right foot. So it's been a pleasure as always, guys. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Take care of yourselves and be safe. Have Merry Christmas. And I'll see you guys next week. All right. Take care, guys. Bye.